Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here, along with, for those who don't know, Rogan Smith, aka Rogan Smith.
I told you somebody why you always pronounce my name as Rogan. They weren't sure if you knew the difference. Yeah, they thought he.
They think I'm an idiot savant.
Maybe just the idiot part.
Okay, all right. That's true. They might know it's
What happened,
savant.
Ken? My mic is bad.
It has that echoey thing. Mine too. Oh, her mic is not on.
No, let me switch.
We'll switch to Ken's mic. Yeah. Okay. Well, oh. So
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okie dokie. So
Yeah.
you didn't hear any of that stuff.
We'll check it out at the break. Maybe the thing. Technical. You have to have technical.
Yeah, that's
what
all
you
right. I don't
do,
know what
the
happened. Maybe
technical.
something's not connected over there.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, we'll get it together.
How are you?
So I'm good. Just good. I'm
You're
REO Speedwagon.
Yes.
Roll with the changes.
Oh no, I don't know that one.
The song. Roll with the changes.
No, I don't know that one.
Keep on rolling.
That's a good mantra.
Keep on rolling. You roll with the changes.
Soft rock.
Actually, that's a hard one.
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
They usually have like nice little soft rock songs.
So you got REO and all of them crew.
Yeah.
It was a group of groups. People listening go, who are these people? It was a group of groups. No, who are we? Not the groups,
I know.
Right? REO Speedwagon, Styx, Kansas,
Yeah.
Journey.
Yeah.
The big hair groups. All in that age.
Remember you remember White Snake?
White Snake. What's that song they had?
Is this love?
Yeah.
That I'm feeling.
Yeah, that's the one.
I love that song.
Those
Here I
groups
Go Again
had
on My Own.
Here I Go Again.
Yeah, I
on my
love
own.
that one too.
So all of those songs were like they're what I would call power rock, but there's ballads.
Yeah, they ballads.
They're ballads.
Nice, man.
So they were people
good
know
stuff.
most humans would know Journey.
Yeah.
They would know that type of power
they
ballad.
know the songs but don't know the group.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure, Journey. Yeah,
So
man.
anyway, no, I'm rolling with the changes. That's how we got on that subject. We go off a lot, on a lot of tangents. We have to find a way back.
But that's the fun part about the show, though.
Yeah.
You don't think so?
Well, you got to find your way back. Well, how did I get in there? But so life is okay, man. I just keep on trying to put it in perspective, because there's a lot of situations, man.
It's always situations.
I'm saying that even my situations, I can't really put them in a kind of a drastic scenario. There are a lot of people out there with some serious situations.
Oh yeah.
And
I think it's all relative. It depends. What is serious to me, it'd be trivial to you. That kind of way.
But I don't have. I say this, and I live in this fear. I have this fear. I say, because I've gone through most of my life without any major drama, right? Any major, not just your normal relationship stuff and all that kind of stuff, but not any major, where people, just fighting and someone get, and all that kind of stuff, right? And I just say, but there are people who that seems to follow. There's the other extreme of that is like people like this. It's always something going on.
Yeah.
So
it depends on what scenario you're in.
What was it? Oh, like for instance, the other day I saw this thing in the newspaper about the Higgs person. Well, you remember the way back, this guy killed his wife.
Oh yeah.
And buried her in some
under the
cement
stairs and
then I see where
Step
now
Street.
the son or the relative had killed his mother.
Oh yes.
It's just like
yes. Yeah.
It's like that's their norm thing. I know it's not the norm, but you know what I mean, right? Oh boy.
Yeah, I remember that old story, and I went to St. Anne's, so that happened down the street,
down the road.
Step Street. Yeah.
Boy,
crazy scenarios,
you just
man.
have to realize that. And this is only in this specific silo of things, to have that kind of rage, both emanating from yourself and the person who's receiving it. That's
we're all capable.
Yeah, but everything is degrees, right? Like you're capable of doing it because and I'm capable of doing it, but that exists on a 1 on my dial. Whereas some people, they starting at 9. You know what I'm saying?
You got to get to that point.
Yeah,
They're already
I gotta go through
teetering
2,
at the
3,
end.
4, 5, 6. I gotta go.
You gotta climb
but
some
they already they start
They're
off
at 9
at 9
and a half.
Okay, so only one little what?
That's a wrap.
Okay.
You're right.
So I don't, it's my way of dealing with things is I have a little chuckle, but it's not funny at all. And I just think, and to live in that kind of environment, because that one person it isn't just about them; they're affecting a lot of people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So what else is up, Ms. Smith?
Speaking of people who are dealing with a lot of rage, I know you hate talking about celebrity talk, but you have to. There's no way to even escape this thing about what's happening with R. Kelly right now.
Well, what's happening with him?
You haven't been watching the videos, the interviews with Gayle King on CBS?
I didn't see that.
I mean, it's all over the internet. It's all over the news. He's been rearrested for not paying child support, and I don't know.
Isn't he rich?
Well, we think he's rich, but I think things are a little tight. After that docu-series came out on Lifetime about him sexually abusing women and women who are under the age at the time.
Booked, I guess.
He's not getting booked. People are dropping him left, right, and center. So and then there's the allegations that there's a lot of hush money being paid out, and so
I think we booked him down by the Westman Esplanade once.
Yeah, he was there, and he had a great concert.
Yeah.
Apparently,
I
was into that one.
I don't think he got millions for that.
Yeah.
But so he didn't pay money. Now I did see one thing. I saw these two women.
His girlfriends.
So he that's how he rolled.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
And so
Ken, you don't roll like that, eh? Okay.
Kendrick.
No wonder he broke.
So I want Kendrick. I don't know if you have it queued up to the right part though, but I'm going to play a little clip for Gayle King. No, not the whole thing. That's why I was telling you to go to that portion right before he got really explosive, because you're talking about rage.
Because those two girls, they look like they ready to take everything. They don't play.
No, man, they love him.
This is what I like, see? When they do this, because that hand closing, it's like a duck.
Yeah. I mean,
is that just a black woman hand closing?
I've seen Hispanic women do it as well,
but they just
rather than pointing, we do that snap thing. So let's go to the clip. Let's just roll it so everybody can hear.
And don't let.
Yeah, so a very, very emotional interview with Gayle King there. And Kendrick and I were having a conversation before the show, and I do see his point about, first of all, R. Kelly shouldn't have done this interview. That's number one. And I can see his lawyers advising him against this, but he probably just wanted to get his side of the story out there. He has been very quiet, not doing any interviews, not posting anything on social media about what's been happening ever since that docu-series, even before, really. And I guess now it's just so emotional, it's just boiled up, and now he's exploding.
Yeah.
But he's not done himself. He's done himself a disservice by even doing this interview.
The thing is this: apparently, there's a lot of people that are accusing him. Right?
Oh yeah.
Like what, 10?
Like 30.
Okay. See, this
Or
is what
50?
happened with the Jello pudding fella as well. Okay?
Yeah, Bill
when
Cosby, the Jello
you
pudding
could,
fella.
the Jello pudding.
The Jello pudding.
When you're a celebrity and you have one, maybe two. I think we gave Bill up to about 15. But then you have one, maybe two people accuse you of something.
Right.
Many years ago. Mm-hmm. You can be plausibly in denial. Mm-hmm. Well, you can plausibly deny it, I should say. And we may give Huxtable the benefit of the doubt because it might be with some cash flow or scorn, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But when you get up to like 50
30 to
something,
50.
you got to go, that's a whole lot of people. And they're not getting anything out of it. You understand? These people aren't, I don't know if there's any civil suits.
No.
Are there civil suits? No,
not to my knowledge. No civil suits.
Why would a person who is not trying to get any money, who you can't even go to court because the statutes have run out, what's the benefit? You're not getting famous. I don't remember any of the.
Well, you don't, but I do. I mean, a lot of those women, they got.
The 40 women?
Yeah, I mean, because they were all in the a lot of them were in the docu-series.
Of the Bill Cosby?
No,
I'm talking about Bill. No, I'm talking about. I was just referring to Bill for a second.
No.
So I'm saying, I don't know what, it's hard to believe when you get in that kind of volume.
I think it's. Do we have to take a break here, or I think Listen, you're absolutely right. I think when you're dealing with those numbers, it's kind of hard to ignore. I think it's hard to believe him. I think he is a liar. But there are instances where women do a lot of bandwagonism and they jump on board and say that they were with somebody, or that person did something to them and it doesn't happen. And before we came on the show, I was showing Kendrick this old video on YouTube by this YouTuber called Christian Adam G. And he did this whole series, but we fooled the internet with fake Travis Scott cheating photo. And he basically, I know you don't know who Travis Scott is. He's a rapper who is dating one of the Kardashian, or the Jenner sisters, Kylie. Yeah. And he basically said that Travis Scott was cheating on Kylie Jenner. And he staged this whole photo, had like paparazzi pictures, taking a picture of him with this model that he hired. And it spread like wildfire on the internet. I mean, reputable establishments were picking it up. And Travis Scott was saying, that's not me. That's not even me. And a woman, this is what Kendrick was shocked at. A woman came out and said, yeah, she's the lady who was in the picture when it was a Bahamian girl who was posing as the model.
Who's this?
Kendrick, you got to go on the mic.
It's a Bahamian person who did the thing.
Yes, it's a Bahamian who did the fake. So, and then you have women who will come out the woodwork and say, oh, yeah, that's me, or that happened. When we know it was a fake.
But you can have 40?
No, and I understand that, but what I'm saying to you is to the point that he made a reference, not in this clip right here, but that people do make things up. And I said that is absolutely true.
I don't. Listen, I know. I tell you, I talk to
it's
people
very easy for a
like
rumor
in the
to spread.
NBA and stuff about fake, But anyway,
we're going to take a break. We'll be back.
Yeah, there's
You're
things
a nut.
you can't say. So, so anyway, the thing is.
You say the emotion that he displayed was not due to him feeling. Okay,
I think he wanted to portray that I'm innocent and y'all hurting me, and that's the emotion. But that was an emotion. That emotion to me, I'm only judging. I can't tell what was in the guy's heart, but it seemed to me it was more out of anger, because you see, them tears dry up quick. Some quick dry it up.
They patted out the way when they came with the makeup.
But he calmed down quick. That kind of level.
It takes a while to come back.
There was no tears. You see little tears build up and all that. He gone from DEFCON 5 to DEFCON 1, and then he gone back down to DEFCON 5. That's how we deal in nuclear. Once the thing out, it's out.
I agree with you. I think it's him being afraid of going to jail, and all these allegations out.
And Gail put it. I saw that little thing where she goes, "So you saying you're the victim?" Because I think she was just. I think she was just saying like, "When this mofo can come over like me."
You know what killed me? When he stood up and she said, "Robert."
Yeah.
Almost
That's
like a counselor.
Yeah, very parental.
Like the counselor's like, "Robert, we're not doing that." Yeah.
So anyway, that's it. What else is up besides art?
Oh, man. Well, you said the drama. I wish.
Right away, our guest this afternoon is going to be the press secretary of the Bahamas, Mr. Ace Newballs.
You want to talk about that story?
What's that? What you tell me?
Before we get to the passport story, Kendrick pointed out something about, I'm sure you'd appreciate this, a billionaire diamond trader died during what?
Yeah,
penis
I saw that. Where did I say it?
surgery.
Popped up on my phone. A penis transplant.
Penis enlargement.
Well, yeah,
surgery.
but because he got it, he got another penis, I think.
No. They were injecting a substance into the penis.
Oh, I thought it was let me see. Let me tell you what I got. Let me tell you what my.
And he suffered a heart attack. Kendrick said, when you're a billionaire, you don't even got to worry about that stuff right there.
Yeah, but that's the thing. See, just
they come in just offer the money.
See, y'all. This is why y'all ain't gonna make it in life. I keep on telling y'all that.
I can make it. I don't have to worry for that.
Okay, so here's the deal. You have to understand that when you have everything, it's the thing you don't have that makes the big deal. You see what I'm saying? You got everything.
But the gals come in anyway,
No,
boss.
but he don't want them to come in using that phraseology. What I'm saying is he wants to be Big Mac. You understand me? He ain't interested in the junior cheeseburger.
The junior Whopper.
What you call it? Cheeseburger Junior or whatever?
He ain't want
that. He don't want no, what you call them, McNuggets or whatever. He wants the quarter pounder with cheese or the Baconator. Okay?
Listen, the girls are gonna come, right?
Yeah, but
they're gonna. They're in it for that.
Listen to me. First of all, he already have to know. Let me see my tight. Let me look at my tight for a second.
Look at your what?
My tight.
Your type?
My tight. You never hear about matite?
No.
That's matite. Matite.
What's that?
Like my boy.
No, I've never heard that.
Ken, you ever hear matite? Of course.
Y'all 600 years
Yeah,
old. Y'all probably
everyone
heard
has heard of
that.
matite before. Okay? So I'm
Matite.
looking to see how matite look. Okay,
He look
matite,
decent.
he's not, he
He
look
look
decent.
decent.
Yeah. So,
It's-
but matite knows that the girls around him, right? When you get to a certain age, you know, is this about me
He's 65.
or is this about the cash? Okay? So right off the top, he insecure. Then if he have what you refer to as, say, a knuck.
A knock.
A knuck.
Oh.
You know, like one digit. If he have a thing, then he got that insecurity.
Yeah.
You know, they ain't with me for the money,
Yeah.
and they ain't with me for the honey.
Mm.
So he's trying to. It's all about the self-esteem, man. Okay.
There are other
He
things
wants
you
to
can
be. No, it ain't what he could do. He wants to be.
He'll be the big man
he
on
wants
campus.
to be the double. What
But-
do you call it?
but look
Two
what
special.
happened.
What do you call it? How does the thing
Two
go?
all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese.
Yeah, that's what he needs.
pickles,
Yeah.
onions on
On
a
a
sesame
sesame
bun.
seed. Yeah. He ain't got no
Ah.
seeds. The seeds
This
missing.
is sad, though. You know, this is sad.
Well, I don't know if it's sad.
It's sad that in your quest
He decided to do that.
You know, maybe it was a huge insecure or like
It was
insecurity.
it was not a huge
That's what I was
insecurity.
gonna
Otherwise,
say.
it'd be a problem.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
It was an insecurity
Listen, man.
that he tried to, fix.
You know, maybe he said, and I can't say this on the radio. I know there are certain things we cannot say on the radio. We will not say this. But he doesn't want them asking, the question about, is it?
I know.
Yeah. He don't want them, he get tired of them asking that.
But you
Why
know,
you always have to ask that?
it's unfair for guys, isn't it?
Well, I don't
wo-
know. Well, I mean, I know. I don't know. Do I know? I don't really
Listen,
know. I don't
it's
know.
unfair for guys. It's kind of rhetorical because
Mm-hmm.
a woman, if she has small boobs, she can enhance her boobs.
Small
If she
boobs.
has small butt, she can enhance
And
her
that's
butt.
all he was trying to do is
and
enlarge
he
the
just
Jack and
wanted,
Rocco.
yeah.
The
And
Jack
you
and
know,
Lantern.
and it led to death.
Yeah, man. So, well, that's, he tried to do, because and I'll tell you what,
What?
he probably couldn't emotionally live any longer with it. That's why he had to get to that level. Lucky a man, Kraft dinner.
Mm-hmm. But Kraft got his
That's someone
his
ringing?
rocks
That's
off.
coming
No,
in?
that's somebody
Okay.
else. That ain't for us.
The Kraft,
Yeah, with
the
the
Kraft say,
with the spa.
he have to go, sweet and, what do you call it, sweet and sour. He ain't interested
Yeah.
just in your barbecue.
I
So
don't
that's
know.
what it's.
I guess
don't-
like you say, I guess like what you say, when you have everything, the one thing that you don't have, I guess that'll haunt you, sort of. You know what I mean?
Your boy Kraft probably passed that place all a million times
Mm.
and say, I wonder what's going on in there. I wonder what's going on
I think
in
you
there.
get bored.
And then he gone in there one time and he get hooked. They hook you.
Mm. I think it's like, when you already used to having this plate of dinner and then you say, yes, I have the finest filet mignon and all this wonderful lobster, but I just want some Keats.
Some sweet and sour.
I just want the chicken in a bag.
So no, it. What I tell you, what you can't do though, is this.
What?
And there's 7 billion of these that exist, including you.
Me?
Yeah,
You don't
everyone.
know
They're all
nothing.
no. There's 7 billion of these that exist, and you cannot try to do it to that other one of the other billion people or one of the other billionth people, 7 billionth.
Mm.
It's get in their head. That's the thing. See, everyone
What?
has some thought process going on or not that don't try to figure it out. You see, you cannot figure it out. You're not them. That brother, what your boy named Dahmer, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, yeah, Jeffrey.
He say, well, what I do is I go down, I pick up a guy. I
Pick up a guy.
I pick up a guy, and we come back to the crib. I kill him.
I eat him.
I eat him, and then I have oral sex with his decapitated head. That's me. That's me for the night.
That's a
So what you doing tonight, Jeff? That's what Jeff's saying. Okay. People. When you go. So listen, Rogan, what's going on tonight? Now, Jeff, unfortunately,
I going home to work. He
Yeah.
going home.
No, but now, unfortunately, Jeff couldn't say when he was going home, so he probably say, "Well, I get home to play the trains or something like that." You know?
He's
But
going
in
home
his
now so he
mind,
get something to eat.
but why you can't be in his mind? He
There
gotta
you
get
go.
something to eat. But he can't. But he's really going home to eat. Well, I'm gonna go and eat me some ears
Chinese.
that I killed.
Or just say
Yeah.
Chinese
Yeah.
for dinner.
So it's just so don't try to get in people's head, man.
It's some
we're
scary people out here,
everywhere.
It's some very scary people out here.
Yeah, everywhere. They're everywhere. They're You don't want to know what people are doing.
In
You
this
don't
town,
want
especially in
every
this town.
but this town. Let me
This
be
town,
honest with you.
this town.
See, the only thing this town may be doing is some freaky stuff.
Mm,
But what they're not doing is what they got going on in the States, like with your dungeons.
oh, I think that absolutely happens here.
I don't think. No, I
And
don't mean.
we had somebody on
See how
this
I can
show.
look at you?
Huh?
No, we ain't talking about willing dungeons.
No.
Okay.
You don't remember we had a guest on this show, and I'll tell you on the break,
Uh-huh.
who talked about things that transpire in this country with husbands and what they are doing to their wives.
Right.
And the wives don't want that to happen.
Right. But here, that's different from, and it's not any better. But I'm saying like up so.
That might be
You
happening.
have
on
some
the-
brothers who they going down to say Home Depot. Okay, you think they're buying some lumber, and they come in to take this guy who was in Germany. I think it was Germany, who had a underground
Like a dungeon?
apartment.
Oh.
It took him 6 years to build. 6 years.
Uh-huh.
Now you think, say in year 4, okay, you'll go, what am I doing? Okay.
You know what you're doing.
But all he was building, this our friend, what we can say, our friend the psychologist will tell you that he was just building up more and more excitement because his end goal was X.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're gonna catch yourself, he'll be catching himself like in year 1. But by the time you get to year 4 and 5,
Boy,
he's
you
seeing
all
the
in.
end goal.
You all in at that point.
Okay, so imagine that now. You go to the hardware store, you there shopping, you run into Ken. Ken is my reference.
He looked like I know
Okay.
Kendrick. This man's forever using your name.
Okay, you run into Ken. Hey, what's happening, Ken? Hey, everything cool, man. What's happening? Ken's smooth. Everything's good, my brother. Whatever, right? Meanwhile, Ken, so Ken, what's with the chain? No, I got some projects. I get to the dogs. And I get some projects.
Yeah. And you buy it.
Because it's not my mind. It's not like,
So
he's got to
you'll
go
be tying up
tired of women. Like, yeah, but
in the
7 women in a
dungeon.
dungeon. Okay? Because he can come up and say, well, listen, I got to go home. I got these 7 people in a dungeon. I got to feed them. I can't stick around too long. You know what I mean, kid? So this is what is going on, and people, you don't know what's going on. So, you just stick in your lane, man. That's a phraseology. Just stick in your lane and try to go through life without getting into too much. Don't get out of your lane because you don't want no one hit you when you go in the other lane and, stuff like that.
Boy, I just can only imagine. I mean, I watch all these Lifetime movies, and I would imagine that a lot of that stuff happens in this
you
country.
imagine it happens.
I said in this country.
Oh, yeah, it happens.
I know it happened in the States for sure, but I mean, I think a lot of things go under the radar. I think people
get
murdered
your
and you
boy
never find
Arcea.
them. And
Some people right now, Arcea in chains.
It's probably at his apartment.
Arcea, he seemed to be very wasted that stuff.
Boy, that could lie, eh?
Yeah, but you see, someone finally said it. I saw this woman was talking about Trump, and they were talking about how Trump was saying something on some speech, and they said, I don't know why people think this is so odd that he would lie. If you have a choice between what the lie is covering up will reveal or what will be revealed, and the lie is like A-okay. If you, let's say,
if what he's hiding is much worse or whatever.
Yeah, suppose, like I think I said it before. If, for instance, someone say, well, Ken, he's a serial killer. Ken got plenty of careers. Ken is a serial killer. Well, then Ken is not going to go, yeah, that's me. He's going to say, no,
nobody
come on, man.
Nobody is.
Yeah,
if we be
exactly.
honest,
no one's
is.
going to say that. So you will lie. And then someone has the nerve to say to you, well, why do you think you would lie about that?
Yeah.
Well, why do you think he would tell the truth about that is really the question you should be asking.
You know what kills me? I don't like bandwagonism. I don't like mob moves. And I just
Mob
back to this.
moves,
Yeah, the
amen.
mob move. When everybody just jump on the bandwagon to say, oh, let's attack these people and all this stuff, right? There are lots of men and women out here who are criticizing someone like R. Kelly. And let me tell you something. They're right here fooling around with these young girls out here, okay? So I don't or have feelings for a child or whatnot, and they could, when they're in public domain, yes, of course they're going to be attacking someone like him. They probably could relate to him, probably respect him on some level. So it happens. But yet we will be so fake and phony and say, oh, R. Kelly, he's a monster, he's a beast.
The people who are doing things, You see, that's another set of minds
Oh,
you don't
no.
want to, because they should just be quiet.
They should be quiet, but they don't always be quiet.
But that's because they are kind to. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know about this stuff, but I assume what you're doing is trying to overcompensate for what you're doing.
Like it happens like when you see somebody who is completely homophobic,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
then
yeah.
you later find out,
Yeah.
hey, that person was a homosexual. That overcompensation.
Yeah. So you have to be.
It's like shut your mouth.
We're gonna take the news break. We're gonna come back. Our guest a little later on is gonna be Ace Newbold, our Secretary
He's
of
on his
Office.
way.
He's on his way. So we'll be right back.
So gross.
Yes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here, along with co-host Rogan, aka Rogan Smith, and a very special guest who we haven't seen in a while. Glad to have
Yes,
him back.
it's been
His
too long.
Pest Secretary of the Bahamas, Mr. Ace
Presec.
Newbold. How you doing, man?
I'm doing absolutely well.
You rolling with the changes? Are you
Absolutely.
familiar with the REO Speedwagon song, Roll with the Changes? No.
I'm familiar with REO Speedwagon.
I don't know
But-
that.
but I don't know,
Ken's
but
gonna
I-
find that song. We gotta
Ken's
play a
gonna
little.
find it?
Yeah.
Huh?
You don't
You
have
know
No.
that?
On
You
the
on
internet?
YouTube? On YouTube?
Ken
That's
can't
how
find
you
it
pull
either.
the REO Speedwagon.
I gotta find
Yeah.
that.
So
It's good to see you, Ace.
It's good. It's good to see
Yes,
you.
and thank you for coming on such short notice.
Yeah.
No problem. As I told you, I did it for you,
Thank
not
you.
not
yes,
for
yes, he did
him
say that.
over here.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
well, that's okay.
darling.
It's
I
no
wanted
problem.
to tell you because he won't let me get it in
Yeah.
later.
Oh, what's that?
I enjoy your columns.
Thank,
All right. Oh, that too.
thank you so
She's-
very much, Ace.
I make her send them to me
I
before she.
appreciate. He does actually. Thank you so much. I
Be
appreciate that.
vetted.
Ace.
No, that's
Yeah,
good.
because you
He
see,
ain't vetting nothing.
there's no, I don't vet it. So now the thing is, when you write, this, you see, I know we're gonna go into this. When you write, it has to be entertaining.
Mhm.
It can't
You-
be.
yes.
It can't be.
You've got to have a
lecture.
hook in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it
Absolutely.
has to have little twists, little turns, little wit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just to keep you, moving
Keep
along.
people
It can't be a
engaged.
thesis.
I know. I
No.
can't stand that.
Okay.
No.
And we're not people who like to read. So
So
we're
when,
not-
To
when
begin
you
with.
and I don't read.
and you don't read. So.
But we like a juicy story.
yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
there you go.
Just a little thing. Little,
Thanks, though, Ace. Appreciate
so
it.
And but a little wit, a little play on words.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, how are things in the the OPM?
Things are good.
Yeah.
Things are good.
I said to someone, you can comment on this, and I try to say,
Or I may not.
or you may not. No, but this is a generic thing. I say to people all the time, people want some results, quote unquote, right?
Uh-huh.
And I say,
Immediately.
if you live in a shack,
Mm-hmm.
right, and daddy's got a halfway decent job, and he's able to say he's going to build you a house. But until he builds you the house, you're living in the shack.
Right.
In order to build that house, you have to put down a foundation.
Absolutely.
But guess what? The children and the mother and all that, they ain't happy with no foundation. You can't
want
live
the
on
house.
foundation.
yeah.
You can't, let's all go to the foundation. We can live there.
Yeah.
You like this
we want the
analogy?
house.
I do,
Yeah.
Okay?
You want the house,
They're
right?
not willing to be happy until
Yeah.
the roof is on that house and they ain't getting wet in the rain.
Until they can turn the key.
And they don't want to just turn the key with no roof. Okay? So don't take me to see no foundation.
Mhm.
Okay? So that is what
Show
I
me the
feel.
finished house,
That's
eh?
what I think is happening here, is that there's a lot of foundational work going on
For
that,
the last 2
that
years.
changes, direction hopefully a little bit, and that sooner or later hopefully you will see the full picture. Is that a right assessment?
Yes. Absolutely, completely, right, 100% right on. And the Prime Minister's referenced that on any number of occasions. You do have to build a house. And any situation, you go into a new job, for example, you have to assess where you are.
Absolutely.
That assessment is not going to take one night or one day or 1 year, for that matter. And governments just magnify the job 1,000 times. And so that's where we are.
And you cannot build it without knowing, because you can't just build a house on nothing, on no foundation,
No,
because
and-
you have subsidence.
Yeah. Well, not only doing an assessment of where you are, you have to figure out whether you have the tools to do
Right.
what it is you're trying to do.
Right.
And if you don't have them, where are you going to get them? In the meantime, you talk about the family wanting to get in the house. There's always the human element
Yeah.
while you're trying to do these
Right,
things
that's
and
it.
build
Yeah,
this new
yeah,
house.
there's pain.
There's some pain, because there are people sitting in there in the shack, and they are enduring some pain, and they're happy that the house is coming, but man, get me out of here because I'm hurting. And that's what we're going through.
And you cannot not put down a foundation, because we're using these insurance metaphors and these house metaphors, but if you build the house on anything other than a sound foundation, you're going to have shifting. You're going to have, next thing you know, the house starts to crack up.
Well,
so you're back to where you are before.
You're going to be twice as bad because then you've moved out of where you were and moved into this place that so wherever you were is no longer.
You're paying a mortgage on this, and you ain't got the house.
And it's falling apart on you. So, again, things don't happen overnight. I think the important thing is to be going in the right direction, which is where I think the country is going. One of the things I kept saying, and I've said it when I came here, everybody wants jobs, and that's fine. People should want jobs. Some people want to create jobs because they want to start their businesses. That's fine, too. The Small Business Development Center is helping with that. And talking to the Minister of Finance and the Minister of State for Grand Bahama, they are amazed at the amount of people who are actually in there. We want some help to start our own business. But, and I've said this specifically about the people in Grand Bahama, and I say it now. By the way, I see these guys are putting $8 million aside for your downtown Nassau partnership. So, you got money to do what you want. But I say it to the people.
There's some specific things that.
That's Emma.
They use it. They said green management, which has some specific.
Right. But my point is, get ready, because it's coming. It's not coming overnight, but that's just one. It's a huge project, but it's just one thing.
What are some of the, if you could just give a snapshot of the highlights that you think that the Minnis administration has had since it's come to office that people may be overlooking? Because all they're focused on is the jobs aspect, or just wanting to feel like something is happening. Because you said there's a lot of foundational work that needs to happen.
Yeah, a lot of foundational things, and there's some basic things that have been done. The most basic, and again I go back to talking about this all the time, the most basic is getting the financial house in order. Now you may say, well, you didn't have to go that far, or you need to pull back as people are suffering. You need not to cut as deeply as you did. You can't do anything else unless you have your finances in order.
That's true.
Period.
That's the foundation.
That's the foundation that we're talking about. And so, once that is leveled off, now you could go look at the other things you want to do. And in the process of doing that, there are basic things that people say, well, some people do benefit from breadbasket not having VAT. The people who decide whatever we sell in the Bahamas, they're not going to buy it. They go into Miami to shop. So they do benefit from getting that extra, I think it's $600 a time. Those are just fundamental things. And then you talk about the various bills that have been passed. The one that has certainly had an impact, the commercial enterprise. Yes. And so, again, some fundamental things. Work has begun over the hill, that initiative. And again, slowly, but it's coming. So, again, it's taken some time for the government
to... Well, let me give you an example of something that I know affects me, and I didn't realize it would affect me. And it's a middle class thing, because the middle class... And by the way, Carl Bethel was on a couple of weeks ago.
He was with me as well.
And he was talking about the EU thing.
Yes.
And he gave a very, very sound analysis of what was going on. I had people who are very high up in the world of finance who said that they listened to the show intently because he was explaining some things that were very important for people to hear.
Right.
But one of the things that he really alluded to was, you ask yourself, we asked the question, why don't you just give up on this and move into another industry or whatever? And his thing was, look, man, we have a very solid middle class, and we have to protect that middle class to the nth degree.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so when I think about that, I thought the other day I was doing an insurance quote for someone, and when they came back with the quote, it said, And there's no VAT on insurance for residential anymore.
That's
Right.
right.
Well,
didn't know?
I mean, I knew that, but it didn't.
It's not something that
You're not thinking
Yeah.
every day. But you know what? When you
That's
go to pay that
significant
insurance
savings.
bill,
Yes.
Significant
Yes.
savings.
that ain't on there.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so there is some respite.
Yes, there are any number of bills, financial bills that have been passed. That there is some relief. It isn't the huge thing that would stand out and you go, yes, no, but incrementally,
Yeah.
Right.
these are things
But-
that
But people, yeah.
that impact the average person.
But you know what they don't know? And this is why there's never a context. It's always about context. Why they don't know and why they don't appreciate it is because what they don't know and they have not realized it would have happened if you didn't do certain things.
If you didn't do certain things. If you didn't do certain
Yeah.
things,
See?
absolutely.
They're not able to measure the fact that the
No.
IMF would have come in here and put more austere measures, etc.
And the people who know better, again, say, nah, we wouldn't have to worry about that. You don't have to listen
See,
to the
that's
IMF.
what I don't like.
Yeah, and I'm like, come on, you know better than that.
Totally misleading people
yeah,
and being
don't
disingenuous.
do that.
I don't
Yeah.
respect that.
That-
And it makes no sense because
Well, it disrespects your citizenry, and you treat them as if they're stupid. You're doing them a disservice.
Well, but this is where it comes to the messaging again, right? Because very simply, if you want to explain that to someone in very real terms, it's like, okay, so you think it would have been okay. All right. So you have a mortgage, okay? And you don't believe that, you need to pay your mortgage payments because you got to get some shoes. You need you need to go to Miami. So you don't pay the mortgage payments. Well, you will know the impact of not paying those mortgage payments. They can take your house.
They can take your house.
Be
Yeah.
Okay?
homeless.
So
Yeah.
guess what? This country is our house. Why am I
Yes.
on the house?
Yeah, well, you-
This is a house metaphor today.
But this country is our house,
It's our house.
and the IMF would have taken it.
Yes, and I like to say, we playing in their pond, man. Yeah, it's not financial services isn't something we do in a vacuum that we operate only in the Bahamas. No, we playing in their pond.
I think Bahamians would benefit too from at least looking at Barbados, which was a wonderful example of what
we
happens,
should.
and then have a greater understanding rather than just focusing on what a politician is saying here because they want some brownie points.
Yeah, well, we should, but we don't always do that. We talk about the fact that many years ago, Jamaica was it. And they lost their industry, their tourism industry, almost overnight. They lost it. And so I say to those who say, I don't want to hear about Barbados, we'll never be like that.
Oh, okay.
I say, really? Look at Jamaica.
Boy.
Right? It can happen. And so,
That scares everything
yeah,
from the living
because
daylights out of me.
yeah, because again, finances is critical,
Yeah.
and so you got to get that in order. And because we deal with the international community, there's some things we have to do. And everybody talks about the downgrades. Well, you don't want to do these things that this government
To shore up
says
the
that you have to
economy,
do.
Yeah. Then,
You can have another one of them downgrades that you're always making noise about.
Well, this goes.
Right.
We're going to take a break, but this goes to the point that I want to talk about the successes that Rogan asked about, and why, we're all in the PR frame of mind in the world, and the reality is there's never you can never PR it to death
Right.
because people just don't care.
Well,
But we're going to talk about it when we
Yeah,
get back.
okay.
This your boy Roll with the changes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with Rogan Smith. Rogan Smith, you see how I go into a calm kind of mode?
You reminded me of Dahmer.
Jeff? No.
Yeah.
I,
Jeffrey.
I ain't say what I go on. I ain't say what I going to do when I go
because
home.
they could put on a certain face and
You know,
one.
Jeff, you know what Dahmer said?
Tell me, because I know you didn't study him.
Oh, no. I like
That's
them
your
guys.
people. Your people.
You know what Dahmer said?
What?
Y'all have to kill me because I can't stop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what he said. He says, I'm never going to stop.
yeah, well, somebody did, right?
I mean,
But-
he said that after he was caught.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
they killed him. Yeah.
'Cause
And
he
they
can't
killed him.
stop.
He said, I can't stop myself.
Yeah, but just two more basic
Yeah, yeah.
things, and I talked about the economy, getting the financial house in order. Crime is always going to be with us, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, people hear the word crime and they automatically think murder.
Yeah.
Well, we've had this.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
right? Because crime is wide-ranging.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately for us, we've been able to get a handle, somewhat, on the murder thing. And murder again, as the minister says, you're not going to stop all crime. You're not going to stop all
No.
murders. But thankfully, we've seen a reduction in that regard. I'd like to think that the Minister of Education has done a hell of a thing getting technology into the system and trying to introduce some new initiatives into the whole education. Because, the Prime Minister says, listen, we must get these students ready for the 21st century. I know just a couple of weeks ago they signed some agreement with a couple of companies to wire up the schools. And so those are things that you can look at. Obviously, there's lots of work left to do.
But this is what I know, and this is again, there are three people sitting in the room who deal in, for want of a better word, messaging. Okay.
Yeah.
And some people might call it propaganda, some people would call it whatever. The bottom line, PR.
It's communication.
But it's
communications.
right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing: you have to observe the environment, and one of the things you observe is the level of calm. I mean, I say that. I mean, it can go from 0 to 10, or it can be on chaos from 0 to 10, right? What human beings do not do is celebrate calm.
No.
No.
No, we don't.
Okay.
And won't anytime soon either.
It's just a thing. It has nothing to do with the Bahamas or anything like that.
That's just
You
human
just don't
nature.
celebrate calm. Okay. You illuminate chaos.
Precisely.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so what I look at is, and again, because I have a bad record with this when I talk about crime. I mean, I do numbers. I try to work in numbers. Okay. Now it has been January, 31 days.
Mm-hmm.
February, 28, so that's 59. Plus on the 7th, right? So it's 65 days since the beginning of the year. Okay. Now, from what I understand, that means that there's been, I think there's been 11 murders. Okay. So you do the math on that, and you and you divide that by thing, and then you multiply that by 365. So if you look at that and you extrapolate that number, you would have, if things stay the same, because it could go down, it could go up, you would have maybe 60 murders for the year. Now, we went from 140 one year to 90 something. And let's just say it goes to under 80. I don't know, and I don't want to put a jinx on it.
Yeah, and
but I'm saying,
really, I don't want to. I mentioned
yeah,
it,
but
I don't want
the
to talk
jinxing,
about
whether
it
it's
too
going to
much.
happen or not, it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to
bottom
happen.
line.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is those are substantial. It's just substantial.
Oh, no, there's no question
There's
about
no
it.
story on that. The only story you get is the police saying it's declined, but there's no story. That's just a report from the police, and so it's just kind of like, it's not a big deal. It's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
It's a big deal. You know why it's a big deal? Aside from the fact that there's 60 people who are dying, which you have to be very concerned about, if you look at the fact that it went down from 120, there's 60 people who aren't dying.
True. But
Okay,
again,
so
we back to...
You want to beat a zero.
Again, we back to positive does not sell.
Yeah.
And we know how that goes.
Is it possible for that to happen, though? For positive to sell, to celebrate? If you have a kid and your kid gets a magna cum laude, you celebrate that. Why can't we celebrate those kind of things collectively?
You have to get one of those psychologists and sociologists
we can't answer that
to deal with
question.
that, because
Maybe that's a human nature
yeah, you
thing.
do personally, but is that what you want to read in the newspaper every day?
You don't think the people?
I always say that. I think sometimes we live in a pie in the sky. I mean,
But you don't think if you put a big, like when the port story came out,
that's
the
positive
port,
news, and
that's
and,
positive,
and that
right?
went
And
over
people
well.
feel a sense of pride, etc., right?
If
You don't
somebody
think we
were
could feel a
offering
sense of
thousands
pride?
jobs, they would be happy about that
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
If you know what I mean? If we made strides in our economy, people that's great news, and people would feel that as well.
So do you think then, and this
It
is
has to
now
be balanced.
you've come to the critical question: do we look for bad news and wait for good news?
That probably is correct.
I think bad news just comes to us very quickly.
Well, obviously, yeah, but I mean, you know, when
And
reporters
that's even in
when
life.
reporters do
Yeah.
investigative stuff, they ain't going to go find out how much people they're going out to dig out on an expose,
True.
right? I'm
That's-
just talking about in general.
When you
globally,
think
not
of
just that.
investigative news,
They're
that's
looking to see
what,
who steal the money, or
who
who
steal
do
the
something.
money, who
I'm just
Yeah.
saying, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
can we change the paradigm? This is globally now. Can you change the paradigm of celebrating positive news if people went and looked for, because it's not easy to find all the time, right?
It's not easy to find good news, and like I said, bad news falls on your lap very easily.
very easily.
You know.
and yes, I would love to have that, but
It's the reality.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hold my breath.
We want to talk about Tristan. What Tristan do again?
Who is
Don't worry
Tristan?
about
Oh, Thompson?
Yeah. You know.
Why would you?
I don't even
anyway.
know, but it's a thing because they
Because-
brought this up.
because he brought-
They
he-
brought-
he doesn't
I
like-
abhor this stuff.
And I abhor listening about Trump all the time, but I at least
Well,
engage you.
I
I engage
said
you.
about him today.
Yeah, you talk about him earlier.
Listen. What did I talk about him?
And
You
I say
mentioned
this,
him.
I say this about the U.S. president.
Mm-hmm.
He is what he is, and I think everybody.
Call your boy Tim Apple.
Listen, every he is what he is.
What he is.
But and we may have had this conversation before.
Uh-huh.
You need to step back and analyze what were the conditions that made it possible for him to be elected.
Yes.
Well, it goes
What are
way
those
back.
conditions?
It goes way back.
Yeah, and it's a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Some
One thing
people
leads
put
to
it.
the next.
Yeah, some people put some of it on a backlash against Obama. That may be part of it, but you know, Obama was running as the anti-establishment
Yes.
candidate.
Yeah.
He was the anti-Clinton.
Yep.
Trump was the anti-Clinton again.
Trump is the anti everybody, everything.
Trump, I just, you know,
Antichrist.
I just love when they do clips of him where he just says, "This is what I love children. I love the thing." You know, he just like uses this and he fills in the blank. You know.
Hey,
Anyway,
he is what he is.
but no, I want to get back. We were talking off the air. We came back and talked about what kind of job are you guys doing to say, okay, in 2016,
Mm-hmm.
you had, I'm just making up numbers,
Mm-hmm.
40 blackouts.
Okay.
In 2019 or 18, you had 15 blackouts. In 2016, you had downgrades.
Right.
In 2018, 19, we've moved away from the downgrades and have stabilized.
Right.
It seemed to me that people cared about those things when they were negative. Why don't they care about the things when they're positive?
People just expect you to do those.
Yeah.
People
that's
say
a very good answer.
that's your
Okay.
job.
That's your
Okay.
job.
I don't tell
No,
me
I don't-
about we ain't getting it. Just
but,
do
but,
it.
No, but no, I don't. No, I'm not
But-
saying
but-
that's
No,
your
but
job.
No.
Why
I
are
see
they?
his point.
Yeah, I get that, but why are they not realizing that you are doing it? Because what they say is you're not doing the job. Why don't they realize that you are in fact doing your job? It would be okay if they said, you know, well, but they're still. So if you had 16, I guess they would need to have 0. I guess that's the way it is.
That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you tell them, listen, we're only going to have 5 blackouts this year, and they go,
They say
really?
all
Are you
that?
crazy? All of that?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't
Exactly.
even think about the 5.
Yeah.
When you had the 1, it's a chaos.
Yes.
Just that one.
And
that
they're
moment.
like, you know, why are we having this in,
Yeah.
in 2019?
Yeah.
Well, as you say, it goes all the way back. And I will say this again, leadership is always critical, but the people who are actually executing the plans and doing the actual work, all of us, we have a role to play in this as well. I don't know that we play that role as best we could, as often as we should.
Right.
Are you still doing your sort of like meet the press
No,
events?
I haven't done any briefings.
Why is that?
And I will do that because the Prime Minister wanted me to focus on, he says, listen, I want my ministers to speak directly to the Bahamian people.
Rather than going through.
I know I will have briefings at some other point. I want them to speak directly to the Bahamian people.
Is there a
you-
danger in that?
Them speaking directly to Bahamian people? No, there's no danger in that.
There's only one danger.
There's no danger in that. Speak to the Bahamian people.
There's only one
the only
danger.
danger would be,
Let me see if you say what I can say.
no, I'm not even going to say that. There's no danger in that. They should be speaking to the Bahamian people.
The,
I would
da-
see-
the danger, as it
They-
says,
they-
because they'll piss off the people who believe they should be speaking to them. But that's another thing.
That's another thing. the AG was here with you. I got him. He sat down with me. I didn't have as much time as you did. He sat down with me for a half hour and explained just what you said. As I told him, my cousin from Montel Heights don't understand that. Talk to me like regular people would understand. Well, that's important because the people who listen to the show, the people who watch ZNS won't necessarily listen to this show. So we got two.
But let me ask you this question though. Again, going back to the art of communication. Now, you and I are around the same age. Rogan is a little younger. Ken is in the middle there. So over a period of time, and I'm going to use BPL as an example.
Right.
Over a period of time, we know, you and I know improvements. We know from the power going out every week.
Yes.
To where
several
it goes
times
out,
a week.
Where it goes out, say, once every quarter.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
How effective would it be, or how easy would it be, difficult would it be, to gain warriors for recognizing that things have improved by highlighting the history of the thing to where people realize, hey, you know what, 10 years ago, because then, while Rogan doesn't care about 10 years ago, someone who living 10 years ago and experienced it, I've experienced the improvement.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So you have people who create some balance.
And you talk to me about whether that is an effective way of having the minister speak directly to the Bahamian people. Well, the Prime Minister in his next national address will in all likelihood address the issue of energy reform. So I'm going to sit down with Desmond Bannister and say, Minister, let's talk about energy reform. We could go back and talk about that history that you talked about. That will be part of the presentation. Make people understand where you are today as opposed to where you were 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago. That's part of...
Where's the Prime Minister when it comes to establishing these term limits as he promised?
Again, you're trying to do a million things at the same time. As he likes to say, I still got some time. Does he still...
some things it should be a little easier to knock off, especially if there's a...
Is that a constitutional referendum required for that? Or no?
You don't have to. And again, for the Constitution, obviously, that's the only way you would be able to change it once it's passed. I don't think too many people like referendums for good reason. None of them have ever worked in this country. But you can go to the House
and it's a costly exercise, too.
It is a costly exercise. It's like having another general election.
Well, you got to wrap them all in one. What they do in the States. They wrap all the elections in one. They do referendums, they do county elections, they do everything in one because the efficiency is in doing it all one time.
Well, we'll see. But he's not changed his mind about bringing that bill. They could go in the House and just pass a bill. But then, you leave office, and the other guys come behind you, and they don't think there should be term limits. They go back in the House and reverse it.
So that's probably why you have to do it via referendum.
Well,
referendum.
I think to constitutionally change, you have to anything in our constitution you have to change by referendum. Local government. We've been the advisory committee.
Sorry. So you say he has time to do it. That's his thought process.
It's not that he does not want to. It's not one of those things he thinks I got to deal with now. There are lots of other things to deal with. Okay?
I guess when you have to deal with it is before the 2 terms run out. So you know what I'm saying? That's the main thing. You'll get a wrap on your
if he doesn't get a second term, then that's off the thing. Because if that's
his term limit was 1, so you don't need to worry about that.
True.
And the next party coming in, they ain't fooling with that.
I didn't breach the 2 term limit thing. The local government thing, which I haven't spoken about to I'm sure Rogan Smith's happiness.
Really?
Not to your chagrin. Because I haven't spoken about it in a long time, so it's to your joy.
Really, you don't like the idea?
She
don't
like when I talk about it. No, she just don't like how I talk about it a lot. Which I was doing.
Yeah, you're right.
But
he was talking about it too much.
But I think it's the biggest thing.
Listen, it's a huge thing in my mind. I agree with you. We need some local government. We need some people on the ground. We need people to take responsibility for their lives. And the minister up here. No, man. Listen, we got Adelaide, or we got Nassau East, or we got wherever. Let those people in those communities.
No, I've come to understand and appreciate the need for it now. It's just like every episode was two things: local government and Trump.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can't tell you how exhausting that is.
I know.
That was
for
the
years.
Part of the show. We had other people on the show.
It was the point where I told him, when you're doing the local government
stuff. Yeah, we all talk about what you doing.
I'll let somebody. I'll come
talk
back.
about your boy Tristan every week.
That's a lie.
Listen to me. You know what's important about Tristan? Let me tell you about. And I don't even know who Tristan is. It sounds like a cracker to me.
No, he's not.
The Triscuit, the Triscuit thing.
Yes.
Let me tell you something about repetition before we go back to local government.
No, we know about repetition.
But the thing about repetition is it makes things happen. See, if you're a skier or a basketball player or whatever, it's repetition that makes it okay. And let me tell you something. There are people in the U.S., for instance, who their show is repetitious, and to the extent that it's repetitious actually gets results.
Well,
so because
those shows are designed to do just that.
Right.
Yeah.
But having said that, we'll get back to it. That was my little. See, I'm looking at you, but that was my lecture to her on repetition. Yeah. So anyway, so anyway, you see, because I scared her, so I have to talk through you.
Okay.
So
no
anyway,
problem.
so yeah, it's just a thing.
No
so
problem.
the thing is, local government to me, and we've said this many times, is taking us from being subjects to being citizens. Okay? We transferred from a constitutional monarchy in the U.S. I'm sorry, in Great
UK.
Britain, to where we had, quote unquote, well, actually, that was more of a, what do you call it, figurehead thing, what do they call it, ceremonial monarchy, to where we have a constitutional monarchy because of the powers vested in the office of the prime minister. And so we have to, local government, what it does is divest some of that, decentralizes some of that, so that he's not having to deal with everything. He shouldn't have to deal with everything. The minister, like you said, shouldn't have to deal with the pothole on my road.
You still on some committee related to
Well,
that?
the report has been rendered.
Oh,
so
okay,
the
so that's
committee's
it.
kind of, So
Okay.
now it's just a matter of how it gets taken. Because that's what we coming back. We got to ask Ace about where that is. Ed Fields here along with Rogan Smith, and Anthony Ace Newbold, the press secretary. Well, are you ever happy to have me? No. I didn't want to put you in the spot, so I just answered. Yeah, because I didn't want to put you in the spot. I didn't want you to be uncomfortable.
You didn't be uncomfortable with my response.
Because you were going to say no, and I didn't
no,
want you
I was
to be
going to say yes. I'm always
You were
happy to
gonna
have you
say
back.
this,
When you
okay.
went to Africa, I was very happy to have you come
have
back.
you back like Monday. Monday's back. Anyway, so
Not that frequently.
You know?
Listen, by the way,
Yes, sir.
and I always have to just drop these things in here.
Yeah.
My ACP Press Clubs Federation,
Yeah.
the General Assembly for
Yeah.
2019.
I don't care where you're going.
No, I'm not going.
Okay.
They want to come with me to the country of 700 islands.
Okay.
So that's what I'm working on now, to get them to bring the assembly here.
I think Lindsay
I love
mentioned
that.
something like that to me.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
see how
Let me ask you a
excited he
question.
is for
Let me
me.
ask you a question. Well, Capron is in charge of that now.
He is the president.
So
yes.
he's going on the trips? He does the trips, or you? Oh no.
The
You're
ACP is. I'm the vice
But let
president
me
of
ask
the
you, don't you have to
ACP.
give that up? You don't have to give that. You don't have to give
Why
that up.
would I
and
give
hand
it
that
up?
I mean, aren't you in conflict?
Conflict with who?
You don't have to recuse.
I'm a journalist for many years now.
But anyway.
We'll see if we get the assembly to come here.
Yeah.
You come out, man, and stand
Take
for
it.
office.
I'll do that. But I don't want to go to funny countries.
Well, listen, there's some funny
Okay.
countries in
Sound like
Africa.
Trump.
So
No, I
sound
said
like Trump,
funny.
right?
Yeah.
I said funny. I want to go to like Wichita. They all want to Wichita.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
All right. So at
go
the
ahead.
end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
and this is all very cliche. From your perspective,
Mm-hmm.
what grade? It's just so basic. What grade would you give the government, as honest as you can be to yourself, as opposed to the messaging? What grade would you give the government in terms of effort?
I'm on radio.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, if the three of us are talking and
Yeah.
the big man,
Yeah.
for effort,
Yeah.
a B plus
Okay.
for effort.
Yeah.
Haven't gotten all of the results from that effort, but in terms of laying the groundwork, yes.
You know,
and B plus for effort because the headwinds that the government has faced, right? And they haven't gone away.
Well, you know, I was talking to the FS. You know, we say that, and we have thanks financial secretary, and you know, I guess this is how you deal with forming relationships, because I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying this. He was saying that you know, to what? And by the way, we don't realize we ain't hit 2 years yet. You know.
That's right.
It feels
That's right.
so long.
I know it feels so long.
It feels like 4 years.
So when
because
you
of
think,
all the
What's been going
you know
on.
what that had to get dig up and
and see the
flatten
context.
out.
The reason I bring that up is because that means that the expectation is even more bizarre. Because you know you
Yes.
expect it like
Such a
in
short
1
amount
month.
of
Such a short
You see,
time.
yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
because I mean May is 2 years.
May makes 2 years.
Okay. So I say
crazy.
to people, I said to the FS said, man, you know, when we came in here, man, every week people just bringing me bills. He said, you know what?
Yeah.
No one ain't bring me no outstanding bill for a little while.
Hey. No, I mean you can say that again
So at least
unless
I know
you
where I
have
am.
to. Unless you have to go through that, you don't understand what kind of relief it is. You know, and again, people are not complaining because they've finally gotten paid.
Right, right. So that proved
Big relief.
Yeah. But you know, imagine. See, you know, you talk about bringing it down to the people's, you know, language, right? Imagine if you making $1,000 a month, and you know you living in a house that your father left you, and he left 10,000 in bills, but you don't even know.
You don't even know.
So you come in with your $1,000. You go, okay, groovy. I can get started here. You know, I had the roof leaking, so let me fix that. And then someone comes and say, listen, Bella, I don't know if you noticed, but you know, Chocolate Junior leave me with I get this bill. Huh? CJ. Okay. Actually, it should have been CCS because Chocolate Senior used Chocolate Junior. Chocolate Senior, Chocolate Senior. He got this bill here for $1,500. Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
now,
great example of what you're talking about. And as we're talking about that, again, little things that people
when the
talk
minister
about.
come on, tell him talk about Chocolate Junior, Chocolate
Talk about
Senior.
Chocolate Junior and Senior. You talk about
No
basic,
deficit in there.
yeah, basic things again, like being able to go get your business license.
Yeah.
You know, just things that frustrate people and people talk about forever.
People talk about it, but you know, I go on down there, man, I get my license for 6 months.
Well,
That isn't happening now, is it?
no.
But hey,
Get
you know
your
what's
thing in
happening
life.
now? The passport line. Get that
Yeah.
together.
Well, that's another
Because that
one
was
of
a
those.
that was a
Nightmare.
thing.
Yeah,
that
well,
was that had been
How-
alleviated.
yeah,
How did
how-
it deteriorate?
I don't have all the information about that,
Mm-hmm.
but
Get that for us, please, sir.
it's been hanging out there for a while. I mean, I'm going to say
Yeah.
no. I'm not going to say that, but
Okay. Anyway, I can say something to you off the air. How much time we got?
see, both of us
Yeah.
got to say
Yeah,
it
we
off
got to say.
air.
We got. I know what the answer is. I know what the
you,
answer
you,
is.
you know,
Because
but,
someone actually sent me a thing on that.
yeah,
I know what the answer is.
but
And why, not how to solve it.
why? It's another one of those situations that
Is it tough to resolve that issue, whatever it is? Because just reading these articles, I
Mr.
mean,
Nebo,
that's an absolute
Can
nightmare.
I say something on your behalf, though, even though you're not saying it?
Yeah,
Let me
you
say
say
something.
it.
At the end of the day, Rogan Smith, it always there's only one word that responsible for any of this stuff.
What's that?
Management.
Yeah, well, then resolve the issue.
But I'm only saying, at the end of the day, when you have circumstances, it's all about management. Now,
There's probably also management, but also there's a space consideration
Yeah,
down
I
there.
was gonna say.
And that's
there's
a huge consideration.
A mushroom cloud of people going for passport. The last time we switched from the manual stuff to the e-passports,
e-passports.
that was a big problem. But people passport expired in that kind of volume now? I don't think
Or
so.
maybe they go in ahead of time. Like I called and I couldn't even get through because I want to.
So everyone's thinking like you?
Maybe they're trying to get in before
It's like
the
a run on the
summertime.
bank, eh?
Before the
Not even-
summertime.
Oh, the summertime.
You know,
Okay.
we already in March. You know.
Okay, so so Bahamians are thinking ahead of time.
Yeah, maybe.
Like,
There's a thing where we always criticize them before we say they should
We're
be more
suffering because
proactive.
we're suffering because we're being efficient.
Oh, people have babies and they won't get their passport
Babies, yeah.
sorted out. You know.
Okay, all right.
Well, again, it's another one of those problems that that must be solved. But I don't have any doubt that it will be.
The one thing that you and I always speak about, whether on this show or in private when we run into each other, and it's a sticky wicket.
Sticky wicket.
It's a sticky wicket. Is the public service. Now I saw something the other day. Oh, I know what it was. Again, Mr. Bethel was here, and he was talking about the EU, and I was talking with some other finance guys who, from outside the country, were commenting on this EU thing because the U.S. got a little top up too because of the Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
And he said, what the problem is bureaucrats. Because in the EU Commission, you've got these guys, Carl, I think, said it was like the director of, water bottles or whatever, and he got to put his stamp on it. Yeah. And if he don't like it, that's too bad. It ain't nothing to do with the minister or the king or whatever.
But you're right. Me and you did have this conversation, and we know all these intermediaries and functionaries.
How is that? I mean, like when I see people putting different people in place, it seems that they're trying to make some changes. But what are you saying?
You got to keep trying, and it's the only thing. And again, as we were talking about local government, and I was saying the citizenry have to begin to take more responsibility for our lives. And I say this all the time. People get tired of hearing me say it too, like you get tired of listening to local government. No politician works in these ministries and government departments. Yeah, regular people work there, man. And they see Rogan coming there, eyeing a save up.
Yep.
Right? Yep. And somebody coming there, you got some permit that you need. You're trying to get a $5 million project. That's ad, man. And the person who has to move that is like, Officer 3 or 4 or something, and they go into lunch. When they see you,
lunch,
they go into lunch.
Get 2 sides. What sides you want for that?
Which former minister was it who was here who was talking about that very thing?
Yeah.
Was it Ryan Pinder?
Yeah, it happens.
You gotta get 2 sides. Which 2 sides you want?
Yeah, it happens. So again, we have to. Let's go back to some basic things.
So let me ask you on that.
No
question.
Respect for each other.
No.
Yeah.
But there can be a commitment to this because it's going to take time, right?
Yes.
But there can be a commitment to this. It's almost like what Jeff Lloyd is doing in education. He said it very clearly. He said his focus is on pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, and then next year he'll focus on go up. As people leave the civil service through attrition, retirement, et cetera, can there be a commitment to who you bring in is based on merit as opposed, and therefore you'd start to get more professionalism, et cetera, as opposed to, that's my general and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, 2 things about that. And one, the Prime Minister talked about getting the top 3 or 4 students from UB, sending them to Harvard, Yale, whatever, bringing them back, and inserting them into various areas of the public service. And of course, there's somebody appointed head of the Prime Minister's modernization unit, and that really is the unit that is going to be charged when it's really up and running with trying to get through some of these bottlenecks that you talk about, that we all complain about.
Who hires? Let me ask you a question because I don't know. You have the Public Service Commission, right?
Yes.
Are they just the processor of the hiree, or does the individual department hire the person?
The department obviously will say they will put out the ad. These are the people that we need.
And they do the selection, but they just have to be processed through the service.
You have to go meet some criteria down there at the public service.
Okay. All right.
And if they get that information,
But they're not just farming out people to different ministries.
No.
Okay.
No.
All
right.
Well, listen, I don't know. I mean, when does your show come on? It comes on.
It's on Monday night at 8:00, immediately after the news.
No, immediately after us. Because don't try to compete with us like that.
No, immediately after 8
on Monday. Yeah. So don't try that.
Monday?
We have the election.
I would.
See, that's how people get
Yeah.
And something as simple as that, they'd be angry about. Why do you put it on office at my show? True. I'm voting for them. Anyway,
crazy things, but we've been friends for the years. I won't even say.
Yeah.
So no, it's on Monday at 8:00 immediately following the evening newscast, the national newscast, and I started with the DPM.
Yeah.
and then go down.
then I got the Minister of Tourism,
Right.
and then the Minister of State for Grand Bahama, and then the AG.
We don't have all of them. Yeah. They can come to you.
They can come after you
Yeah,
again
they can come to
because
you.
we need to get the message out.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
talking
But
about messaging, right?
But listen. You see sight, or you have sight of things that we are not privy to.
Mm-hmm.
Can you say that you see, and we all want this, no matter which side of the coin you're on, that you see things that are coming down the ladder, or down, what is it, down to what? What do they call it? Down
They call it down the pike.
The pipe.
Yeah.
Down the pipe. That is really going to be, see, I see this port thing
Yes.
as a transformational thing.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see more of that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And the two major ports in the two islands are just the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I kept saying it. People in Nassau, people in Grand Bahama, get ready to work. People in Nassau, get ready to work. Yeah, lots of things are going to happen. And people are just going to have to be ready to be engaged.
Yeah.
And not expect that they should get a job because as Bahamian. Well,
Glad you said it.
Passport.
that can't
I
work
got a
anymore.
passport, so
Yeah,
that's-
that-
Certificate.
that-
I'm glad
yeah.
you said it.
That can't work anymore.
ready
You need
now.
to get yourself ready.
So you're ready when the
Get
time, the opportunity
prepared.
comes.
The
Yeah.
government, free education at BTVI next September. Going to make some more free
Let's look at
education
free
available
education,
at
man.
UB.
This is
Go get in there, and
that's some major
those are
stuff,
some of the
man.
things that, again, you talk about some signature things.
Yeah.
Those
Yes.
those are things that are
Transformational things.
Yeah.
directly impacting the citizenry.
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
say, Ace Newbold, if you're really, and the first person I heard from was Ingram. When he came on a show many years ago, say, all he wants to do is when he leaves office, that the country that he has to live in, he's content with, right?
Yeah.
I don't, a politician would probably never say this, but I don't really care who wins and loses. What I care is that the Bahamian people win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
And-
we have a better
Now you
society.
Look at, you look
Yeah.
at the airport many, many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was a subject of discussion on a regular basis. You don't hear
was
about
a,
that.
was a dump,
Okay.
actually.
It was a dump.
It was a dump.
Yeah, it was
Now,
a dump.
I am
Yeah, you're
learning.
right.
I'm yearning for the day when
Yeah.
I don't have to wake up and hear this guy with the name Jim Walker,
Yeah, with the cruise.
Talk about the cruise.
Yeah, best friend.
unless he wants to say the best cruise port in the
in the
world.
world.
Yeah.
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 That's what I want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Because
And-
at the end of the day, whoever win, whoever lose, whatever the fight was, we get to have that.
See, and what we were talking about, people just gravitating towards bad news. The airport was a dump.
Yeah.
It's fantastic
It's
now.
beautiful.
You don't hear about it.
Nope. Yeah.
Nobody want to talk about it.
No.
That's the way it is.
Yeah.
We missed that cafe in the clouds, though.
You still remember that?
Yeah, boy, with that corned beef. Anyway.
Dry sandwiches.
Yeah, and that line.
Lord of
All right,
mercy.
all right, H.D. Ball, thank you. Listen, man,
Thank
I
you
really
so much,
appreciate it.
You
We
know
were
it's
in a
always
bind,
wonderful
and
to
we'll
come
have
and
you
sit
back.
with you.
All right,
Right?
Thank you.
all right, my friend.